Hello, everyone. Good morning or good evening. Hope I'm audible to all here. Um, guys, am I audible? Please confirm.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes. Right. So today we'll continue with our Jenkins module. So in our yesterday session, we were able to create our Jenkins freestyle projects, right? And able to validate the Jenkins console output and handling variables, work with the environment variable as well as the user-defined variables. And also if there is any issue occurs, how to get into the console and check for the errors, right? So any questions before we move on to the next topic? So today we'll see how to create your CSD project, because if you can see the list here, we'll be creating our CSD pipeline projects now. And then we'll talk about the Jenkins master slave architecture. So before we move on to this topic, you guys have any question?
Hi, Loksai. Sachin this side.
Yeah.
Yesterday, I was trying to add a user. Means I created two users in the Jenkins console, and I just created two of them, and then I tried to add user three as under the authorization, and I was able to add that. That was not giving me any error message, and I don't know why that was happening.
Please check with your profile, like go to the user list and check whether the user 3 is present or not.
No, it was not there. I never created that. I tried to add user, let's say 255. That got added there.
Please send me the list of users that you created and the error message or the user which you are trying to add. Can I have that?
Let me see.
Because yesterday I showed you, right? If the user ID is not present in your user database, it won't allow you to assign any authorization.
No, no. Uh, let me let me share my screen. May I?
No, no, you can put in chat window, like the user ID is whatever you have created. You can send a snapshot or enter the user uh, names, whatever you created.
I just created two users. One was admin, already created yesterday, and after that I created user one and user two, and I was adding both of them for the authorization, which I was able to add. And I tried to add user 3, user 4, user 5, and they were also getting added there. They were featuring there.
Mm,
Because
no.
in your case, I still remember that it was showing a cross symbol in a circle.
Yeah, that's what. So, which option you're choosing? Matrix-based
Matrix
security.
base. Yes.
Uh, and for authentication, you're using Jenkins' own user database, right?
Yes.
So it
So
should not allow. Not sure. We need to check.
I tried multiple times, but still the same. Even I am not sure why it's happening.
Let me start my instance.
Yeah. If you want me to share my screen just for a minute, I can, so that
Okay,
people
okay, go
see.
ahead.
Thank you.
Others, please give me a minute, okay? Let me finish this and come back. Yeah, go ahead. Share your screen quickly.
Yeah, I just shared it. Once it's visible, let me know.
Go to your browser, Jenkins dashboard.
There it is. Manage Jenkins. If I go under users, see user one. If I delete it, let's say I deleted it. So currently I just have admin user which I created yesterday, right?
Can
And
you go to your Jenkins server?
I need to add that. 1 second.
Try reconnect.
1 second, I'm doing it.
/var
Yes.
cd users. Okay, go ahead and try to update.
1 second.
Create a user or
Let's say create user. User. Let's say user three.
okay.
Password user three. Confirm password user three. Full name user three. Email address user3 at gmail.com. Create user. I just hit on create. So now user is created. If I'm going back, let's go to dashboard, manage Jenkins. Under security, under security, uh, authorization. No, where was it?
Matrix based select to use a drop down.
Yeah, matrix based security, correct. See, I created user 3 in front of you. Let's say I'm adding user 3. It is there, right? And if I try to add user 4 or 5, it should not reflect here. User 4. Oh God. Oof. All right, fixed. Not sure why it was happening before. Thank you. Sorry for wasting your time.
No problem. So others guys, any other questions from anyone? All good?
Yeah, Loxi.
Are you guys, can I directly jump into the next topic?
Loksai, before you continue, I just want to reiterate the same thing again. Your voice in between goes away for at least 4 or 5 seconds, and it happens frequently. It you can feel that in recordings as well if you can listen them.
Yeah, it means 2 days before the days that is happening 4 5 seconds.
Any other questions? Yesterday we learned something and I've explained you something. Did you get chance to practice or what is the progress?
Yes, no questions so far.
Yeah, it is good, Loxi. Yeah.
Yes, all good till now.
So still I haven't practiced it. I'll practice
Well,
on more. Yeah.
okay. All right then. So it's okay. Carry on. Um, So next we'll see how to create a CSD pipeline. Here, our intention is to automate the application build and deployments. Correct. So in order to perform a application build and deployment, we need to perform some sort of project creation. And our intention is to enable the build. Okay. And in order to enable the build, first we need the source code repository. I showed you already in your repository. I have created one for your Maven project. We can use the same project if you want. Okay. And firstly, I'll show you how to quickly create a simple pipeline project, and then we can improvise it. So when I say Jenkins pipeline, it composed of various stages. Stages means, like, consider have stage 1. It is going to perform some task. Similarly, stage 2 can perform some task. Correct. So
Okay, are
stages
you
means
sharing your screen? I'm not able to see the chat.
stages means it's a collection of tasks that you want to execute in your process. Correct. So we'll be creating this pipeline, and as part of this pipeline, we'll see how to create the stages and how we can give the task definition here. So this is another important thing to consider. So in order to work on it, just start your instance and log into the dashboard, Jenkins dashboard. Take the public IP, latest public IP, 8080. And let me log into this. Right. So I just logged into this machine. I'm in a Jenkins service, and I'm able to access this Jenkins dashboard now. So with this, what we can do here, we can go to your new item, create a new item. Yesterday, we created a freestyle project. Now we'll see how to create a pipeline. We'll just go to click on this new item. And in this new item page, just give the project name, anything as per your choice. On this field, I can say like pipeline project. Correct. And choose the project type as pipeline. The template should be identified as a pipeline template now. Correct. Choose it as a pipeline. And if you can scroll down, this template, it is used to create a pipeline project. And I'll show you how the pipeline project and freestyle project looks like when it comes to configuration. Proceed with this. So it is creating. And here is the configuration for this project. So if you can see this configuration here, I can see some general tab where I can give the description here, like this is a sample pipeline project. Okay. And you can have some build triggers. If you want, you can able to create a parameters as like your freestyle project. And also we can see the pipeline definition. So if you compare it with your existing freestyle project, in freestyle project, you can able to find all these parameters. All these things are manually configured, like a build step, all those stuff. But here, if it is a pipeline project, you won't find anything called adding build step or post build steps and all. Everything is done through a script now. So pipeline, we are going to create a script. This is a multi-line text box where you can directly write your script. So in general, the pipeline projects are of two types. One we call it as a scripted pipelines, and another thing is declarative pipeline. So when I say scripted pipelines, it was the thing which we used in a very initial version of your Jenkins. When Jenkins was introduced, initially, we were using the scripted pipeline. So what the scripted pipeline is going to means it is just going to utilize the core features of your scripting, the Groovy scripting. That means people who are comfortable, knowledgeable in Groovy scripting, only they can able to work on Jenkins. That was the situation earlier. So in earlier days, if you want to learn Jenkins, first you have to learn Groovy scripting. Then only you can able to learn Jenkins. That was the situation. But over the period of time, apart from Jenkins, we have other products also came into market. Like we have something called GitLab CI, Azure pipelines, right? All those pipelines are created using some declarative languages, using some YAML scripts, we can able to manage it. So they made the things very easy. So just to know, cope up with the changing requirement, we have introduced a new feature called declarative pipelines. So here, this declarative pipeline is also going to use a Groovy scripting, but you don't need to be worried about it. Okay, you don't need to be expert, or even you don't need to be, aware of Groovy scripting here. Everything is generated by your Jenkins self automatically. So it is a kind of an automated scripting through which we can able to work on. That means, as a user, if you are sure about what you're doing, if you know your objective, you can quickly generate a script and create a pipeline. It is easy to write as well as it is easy to maintain. In future, if you want to make any changes, it will be easy for you to maintain it. Correct. So that is what the main objective of this declarative pipeline, and we'll be creating declarative pipelines only. But sometimes there might be some old servers, Jenkins servers, which was created using scripted pipelines. If that is the case, we'll be converting to declarative pipeline. That's what happening in any real-time environment now. So how to create these pipeline projects, how to create a script, that we'll see now. So if you go to this job configuration here, you can find something called script line, that is a multi-line text box. If you're completely new to Jenkins pipeline and if you want to try something, they are given you the sample pipelines script. And one more thing, as I said, Jenkins is a self-documented tool or a service. If you want to learn or understand anything about Jenkins, or if you're not sure about any parameter, let's say, if you're not sure about this particular parameter, I mean, just there is a help feature enabled here. If you click on the question mark, it will automatically take you to the official documentation. It just gives you a short description about that message and it will take you to the official documentation. Like that, this Jenkins is completely based upon a self-documented help features. Similarly, for the script also, the help feature is available here. So if you want, you can try some sample pipeline to understand how the pipeline scripts looks like. And based upon, you can able to improvise it. For example, if I click on this hello world, so this is what a simple pipeline script they have provided. This is an example for your declarative pipeline. Correct. It's an example for declarative pipeline. When I say declarative pipeline, it always starts with a keyword called pipeline. Similarly, if you want, you can try another example like GitHub plus Maven. So this is also a declarative pipeline to perform the application build using Maven and other stuff. They just given you some sample project itself. And this is another example they given for scripted pipeline. So this is a scripted pipeline actually. Correct. So same thing, what all things you can able to do it through scripted, you can able to achieve it through declarative very easily. One more important point here is just by looking into the script, you should able to differentiate whether it is a scripted or declarative. So if your pipeline script starts with the keyword called pipeline, it is a declarative script. And all these scripted pipeline will start with a keyword called node. That makes a difference. Got it? So we are not going to deal with this scripted pipeline. Maybe down the line after 2-3 years, it won't be available in this list itself. They will be removing it. Now, let's talk about this declarative pipeline. So as I said, pipeline composed of various stages. So if you look into the scenario here, this is a pipeline project and it is having some block of statements. Here it is maintained with the help of your curly brackets. Correct? Curly brackets. Now, when I say pipeline, it is going to execute some set of tasks. So the actual task definitions are given within the steps. So stages means it's a collection of stages here. Each stage can have its own steps. Steps are nothing but the task that you need to execute. For example, in this pipeline project, I have only one stage that is used to execute one task. If I want, I can quickly create another stage here. But the stage name should be unique. Okay, ensure that the stage name, whatever you entered, should be unique. Correct. So this pipeline project has two stages. First stage name is hello 1 and this is hello 2. Both these stages are going to print a message to the console. So if you want to run this project, just copy the script and have it in your script area and apply the changes, save the job. Once the changes are ready, you can go to your dashboard, project dashboard, and click on build now. See, when we say build now, this job is getting executed and it is successful now. So when I say the status of execution, you can see it will take you to the console output. See, this is how the console output of any pipeline project looks like. Like it is started by the user and it is running on the Jenkins master node, created this workspace. And this project composed of various stages, like stage 1 is hello 1, stage 2 is hello 2. Correct? Like this, we can able to create any number of stages here. And in addition to this, you can able to have a stage view. If you can see this stages tab, you can able to see the stage view of your project. Just gives you the pipeline view of your project. So here this project has two stages, stage 1, hello 1 and hello 2. Got it? So this is how we can quickly create any declarative pipelines. Now, if you want, we can able to improvise this. So let's say I have an application and I want to build and deploy to target environment. That is my requirement. I consider I have a Java-based web application or Maven web application. I want to build this application and deploy to target environment using Jenkins pipeline. This is the requirement. So how we can create a pipeline to perform the application build and deployment? That is the point now. So we can able to improvise this pipeline itself. Like, as I said, the pipeline project can have a stage. So what is the very first stage we can do in this case? What could be the first stage here? If I want to build my application, what I need?
Source code repository.
Sorry?
We need the
Hello?
source code to build it.
Yes, we need a source code to build this, right? So that is what. So if you can refer my previous day session, I just clearly mentioned it, right? The pipeline workflow, whatever we're going to implement, like SEM checkout, it is going to identify a source code. And then we are going to perform the application build. And then we are going to deploy to target environment. Correct. So a simple pipeline to create an application build and deployment can be like this. Like I can say SEM checkout stage, and here this stage is used to perform SEM checkout. And the next stage I can say like application build. So to perform this application build stage, what I need a Maven, right? I'm just giving you a template, that's all. And what is the third stage? I won't deploy to target environment. I can able to reproduce a stage. While creating a stage, maintain proper curly brackets. Okay, the block of statement should be maintained properly. So let me close this and have it here. So this stage is used to deploy. Let it be like deploy to target server. All right. So this is to perform application deployment to target server. It can be your Tomcat server. I'll talk about Tomcat server and all in detail. So it's just a target server for execution. It's like a test environment. I can call it as a QA server to perform QA testing. So if I execute this pipeline project, let me save this job and let's run it again. So the second build also gets successfully executed. And here I'm able to check the console output of my job, right? So this job, this is a first stage that gets executed and printing the message. Second stage and its own message, right? Like this, we can able to execute a number of stages as part of your pipeline project. As of now, I just given you echo command. That's all. I'll show you how to define it properly with the actual build step. And this is a stage view of this project. So from the stage view also, there is an option like we have SEM checkout, what you exactly did in the stage. If you want, click on that stage name and it will give you the complete status of that stage. Like SEM checkout stage started at this time and it is successfully executed. It is running on Jenkins master node. And this is the print message which gets executed as part of that stage. Similarly, stage 2, stage 3. So individually, you can able to verify the status of the job stages. And this is the overall time it took to complete the job. You see? Like this, whenever you make any incremental changes, you can able to start your job and check the status in your stage view. You see? So this is just a basic template to create your pipeline project. And as I said, there are some stages we have defined here. In addition to that, there's something called agent as any. So this agent parameter, it is used to define the node where you want to build your job. When I say agent as any, it will try to search for the agent. And since we just have only one master node, the job gets executed in the master node. That's what is running on Jenkins. Similarly, tomorrow you can create n number of slave nodes. Like we have Jenkins master slave architecture, right? As of now, we just have only master node. So the job is getting executed in the master node. If you have a slave node, you can say the agent label as slave. So through that agent parameter in your pipeline project, you can able to schedule a job to run it in the slave node. Easy? Any question in creating your simple pipeline project?
See, in this script, under the agent any, stages is mentioned, then starting with a curly bracket, and then stage again, stage 2, stage 3. So this stages is a main heading, which is at the top.
Stages. Under stages, we have stage
Okay.
definition.
So we can
Right?
create a
It
number of
started
stages.
here and ends here. So all these three stage definitions are under this block.
Okay. under this block. Fine. And how you got to know, Loksai, that where you want to, between these so many brackets, you want where we want to put in the second stage and third stage script?
That is what the functionality, right? I just showed you one basic workflow, no? Like if you can see here, they have given you the sample template. Here, the stage starts here and ends here, right?
I'm sorry, your screen is stuck.
And create a new block. It's all comes by practice.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Loksai, your screen was stuck while you were explaining
Hello?
it. Now it
In
is
bet-
again.
in
Is it?
between it is stuck.
No, what I'm saying here is I
Uh-huh.
have a stage view, and here I can able to define any number of stages like stage 1, stage 2, and stage 3. So while creating a stage, you have to maintain the task definition. So when you create any stage, you should know the purpose of the stage, for what purpose you are creating it. Based upon, you can create a number of task definitions. And once it is completed, just close the stage. That's it. It is something like we are creating a function. That's all.
Got it.
All right. So this is a simple pipeline project we have just created and able to execute it here.
Yeah, and look, say one more that I have like in one script we have only one stages, or we can create multiple stages as well.
One script in the sense,
No, in this script we have only one stages, or
we
can
have
we?
3 stages here, right?
No,
Can
no,
you
no.
see this?
I'm saying the stages.
Stages.
Yeah.
Stages is a keyword that is used to define some number of stages here. Stage names, that's all.
Okay. Can we
You
consider
cannot
that
have one
as
more
main?
block here. Correct?
Okay. Can we consider this as main?
Yeah,
Okay.
fine. So now we'll see how to create your actual CI/CD pipeline project. I just want to introduce some build and deployment. But as we discussed already, as a best practice, we always go with the master slave architecture, right? So what is the purpose of Jenkins master node? Jenkins master node, it is just to create a Jenkins project,
But to automate the process.
and then it will be scheduled to run that project in the slave nodes. And the slave nodes are the node where we actually going to perform the application build. So you can able to follow this approach here. So instead of executing a build in the master node, I'll show you how to execute in your slave node. That is the best practice we follow. Correct. So as of now, in our architecture, how many nodes are there? There is only one, Jenkins master.
Master node.
It's a VM we just created. And what we did in this machine installed? What are the tools we have installed in the Jenkins master node?
JD.
Maven, JDK, Git.
JD.
What are all the tools we have installed in Jenkins master?
In Jenkins
Have we
master,
all done it?
yeah, Git, JDK, Maven.
See, I strongly recommend please go through your class notes at least once before you join the session.
Maven
Only
is not
Git and
installed yet.
only Git and Jenkins.
Yes, only Git and
Correct?
Jenkins.
Why this much doubt actually to answer this question? I've made it very clear in your previous sessions. It is available. So if you have gone through your course document at least once, you can gain more confidence. That's what I'm expecting. Okay, please don't simply attend the session. It will never work. So here we need Git, JDK and Jenkins, which you already installed. Now I'm going to create one slave node, and I want to consider slave node as a build server. So to perform the Maven build, here I'll be installing Git, JDK, and then Maven. The actual build we are going to perform on this machine. Maven will not. All right.
Loksai,
So
we
now
are
let me create one
losing
new
your voice
VM.
again and again.
Sorry.
We are
What's the
losing your
problem here?
voice
Like
again
I'm
and
not
again.
getting I can see it's clear now from my end.
No, in
No,
between
we are
it is
listening to
5
you.
seconds. It
You are
is
not listening
between
us.
it is big.
It has happened around 10th time ever since the session has started.
I'm not sure what's happening. Maybe is that for everyone or like what?
For
Yes,
everyone.
Yeah, yes, looks
Yeah,
like.
for me
it is
too.
stopping.
In the recording also we are facing the same issue.
Okay, so I'll repeat it. Okay, let me repeat. So I'm going to launch one VM now for your Jenkins slave node. Just go to your AWS console and launch another node. And while launching this node, let's give the name like PL Jenkins slave node. And let's choose Ubuntu 22.04 version. I repeat, choose 22.04 version, not the latest version. Got it? Latest version is not stable. So use your previous version 22.04. And then choose the instance type as T2 micro and the key pair that you have created as part of your previous instance. Just these three parameters are sufficient. And ensure that you have one server you're going to create and click on launch. Now the instance is getting launched. And as part of this, you should be able to access the instance now. See, we have a new instance created. Let's log into this new instance. Go to your, take the public IP address of that node. Go to mobile xterm. Is my voice clear?
Yes, this time it is. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So go to the session settings and let's connect to this node. All right. So now we are going to install Maven. So for the installation of Maven, you need to understand the prerequisite, and the prerequisite for Maven is JDK. Git is required to perform the SCM checkout. If you want to clone your repository to your build server, you need Git. But to work in Maven, you need JDK. Correct? So remember, yesterday I have shared this document with you that helps you to quickly install and configure your Jenkins. On the same document, I have updated something for your slave node configuration. So these are the steps. Launch your slave node with this Ubuntu version. And then let's update the default packages now. apt update -y. And once the packages are ready, we can install JDK. For the installation of JDK also, you can follow the same procedure as what you did in your yesterday session. Here we use the command, right? The same command, you can use it for installing JDK. All right. apt install OpenJDK 17. I'm going to install this package. And in real-time environment, which version of JDK has to be installed in the build server? That is something provided by the application team. As a DevOps team, we cannot decide our own version of the JDK because it is going to perform the application build. They might have created the application using JDK 11, but if you install JDK 17, it will create a compatibility issue. So before we install any JDK or build related software package, we have to get a confirmation from the application team. Correct. So now you can see Java has been installed. And once Java is installed, obviously I will be having the JDK, Git version in my machine. I can use the same. And then this is the official page from where you can able to understand the Maven build tools. Like I think I already shared this with you about the Maven repositories and all in a previous module. So this is to install Maven. Correct. So you can refer to this page to understand the latest version and all. And now to install Maven, you can use your apt package manager. Apt install Maven. Apt install Maven-y. So this command will just install Maven in your build server. Once Maven is installed, you can verify the version of Maven that we just installed. So this is the one. All right. So Maven 3.8.7, it is installed, and this is the default home directory for Maven. You see? So now what we are going to do here is we are just going to integrate our Jenkins server with slave node. So how we can able to integrate means, listen carefully. So as part of this architecture, we have Jenkins master and slave node now, right? So all the build tools are available in the slave node, but the Jenkins master is just having the Jenkins to create a job. So my requirement is using Jenkins master, I want to build an application in the build server. For that, we have to connect this slave node with the Jenkins master node. Correct. So Jenkins slave node should be connected with the Jenkins so that we can able to perform build. So in your Linux module, we talked about the remote server handling, remember?
Yes.
Yes.
So when I say, one minute, when I say remote server handling, how we can able to establish a connection to the remote server?
SSH connection.
SSH.
connection.
Using SSH. So SSH means secure shell. And what are the various parameters required to perform this connection?
In one node, we have to
Username,
create
host name,
Okay, we need a username,
credentials.
host name, and then
Key pairs.
the key pairs, the credentials. So if you're going with the key-based authentication, you need a key pair. If you're going with the password-based authentication, you need a password. So it is always a best practice to use a key pair, that is the public key and the private key. When you create the key pair, it will create two entities. One is public key and private key. So what you're going to do means, in order to connect these two servers, here as part of my slave node, after installing all the required build tools, I have to create I'm going to create a key pair.
Hello.
Correct?
We lost
Your
your
voice is
plan.
breaking. Means your voice is losing. Boxai.
Right. 1 second here. 1 second. Just be online, all of you. Is it better now? Maybe it's better now.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Okay, just go with the flow. Okay, let me check if anything happens. I'll disconnect and we'll connect tomorrow then. All right. So we are going to integrate our Jenkins slave node with the Jenkins master node. And to do this, in my slave node, I'm going to create one user ID and the credential for that user. I hope you already have the commands to create a user, right? What's the command we used? If you remember?
For creating the user ad.
User ad.
Yes, Bing Bash.
Okay. All right. So don't worry. As part of this documentation itself, I have created those details. Okay. So in this case, if you can see my document. So this is the place where you can able to understand how to create the user. Because for this slave node, I need to install the required tools, and to connect the slave node with my Jenkins master node, I need to create a user. So we're going to use the same command, user add command to create a user. I'm going to create a DevOps admin user. And for that user, I'm going to create the key pair. Once I create the key pair, I'll be creating the authorized key based upon the public key of that user ID. And then I'll be protecting that key pair by using chmod command, because that key pair should be accessible only by the owner of the key. Correct? Any doubts on this process till this one, the one which is highlighted here? Any doubt?
No, look, sir.
No.
All right, so let me execute these commands in your slave node. Okay. So in our slave node, I'm going to first create a user called DevOps admin, and I want to log into that user. I can see ID has been created, and if I say ls-a, there is no SSH folder created as of now. Now let's create the key pair. Using SSH keygen command, we can create a key pair. Just confirm that we are going to create this in the default directory of the DevOps admin user. I think there is some lag. Okay. So now you can see cd to .ssh ls. You can see there are two keys created here. One is your private key and a public key. Now you are going to create an authorized key based upon the public key. For that, create a copy of it using the cat command or copy command. I think there is some issue in the network or what. Yeah, sorry. So this is a public key which is created in my machine. I just want to create an authorized key out of it. So now if I can see here, this authorized key, this file has been created. It is just a copy of my public key. Now, once you get this thing ready, we can simply change the access of this particular file because it is accessible only by the owner. So use the chmod command and update it. Easy. That's it. So these are the steps you have to follow in order to set up your slave node. Slave node should be installed with all the required build tools and should have a valid user profile through which you can establish a secure shell connection. And once this is ready, you can go to your Jenkins console, log into Jenkins console, and under manage Jenkins, you can see something called slave node configuration. You can configure it from there. That means we can able to attach a slave node to Jenkins master through this Jenkins dashboard. Correct. So just go to your Jenkins dashboard here. Hope you are listening, right? Till this you're clear. No, I think already we have completed all these things in your Linux module.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, yes.
So now you can go to your Jenkins dashboard and go to manage Jenkins. And from this page, you can see something called nodes. Can you see this? This option helps you to add or remove the nodes, Jenkins nodes. So from manage Jenkins, click on nodes. And here you can see there is a built-in node available. That is something responsible for your master node. And we are going to create one new node here. That means the VM, whatever we have created, we are going to attach this VM to Jenkins master now. To do that, listen carefully. From this dashboard, there is an option to create a new node. Click on this new node option and enter the node name. Slave node 1. Name can be anything, but make it relevant to that node. And enable this as a permanent agent because I want to maintain one node as a permanent agent, and click on create. Once you click on create, it will take you to that node's configuration. Guys, please pay attention. This is something very crucial. You have to pay attention here. I'll go step by step. If you're unable to understand or if you're unable to hear me, stop me there itself. I can repeat it. Listen carefully. So now we are going to attach our slave node to a Jenkins master node through this node configuration page. Here you can see the name whatever we assigned. And if you want, you can able to give a description of that. This is for Maven build, something like this. And as I said, if you want to perform any number of builds, you need a build executor, correct? Yesterday in our Jenkins master node, we have seen how to execute your parallel jobs using build executor. Similarly, for this node also, how many builds you want to execute, that is decided by the number of executors. If you want, you can say 2 here. Correct. And then the remote root directory. Remote root directory means, consider I am going to use my Jenkins slave node. This is a slave node and this is my master node. So I'm going to connect from the Jenkins master to Jenkins slave node using DevOps admin user ID, right? Correct. So through DevOps admin user ID only, this server will be accessible from Jenkins master. So once I establish a connection to Jenkins slave node, what I'm going to do here? What I'm going to do here?
We'll be performing some builds.
What is the first task we need to perform there?
SCM checkout.
SCM checkout. So first I will establish a connection to this slave node as a DevOps admin user. And once the connection is established, I need to perform SCM checkout. SCM checkout means what? It is just a process of cloning that remote Git repository into that node, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
So where I'll be cloning it, in which directory I'll be cloning it? That is what your remote directory, remote root directory. So whenever I establish connection to this slave node, I should always refer to the home directory of this DevOps admin user. So this is what the remote directory I want to use. So what happens now? Once the connection is established, the control will be automatically getting into this directory. And when you do SCM checkout or when you create any job, the workspace will be created in this particular directory only. This is a home directory for my slave node actually. So what is the home directory for Jenkins master?
Var lib Jenkins.
VRlib Jenkins. Similarly, the home directory for Jenkins slave node is the home directory of the DevOps user through which you want to connect. You see? And another important parameter is the label parameter. So the label is used to uniquely identify the slave node. So I can simply select slave 1. What is the need for this label means? It is used to uniquely identify the slave nodes in your pipeline script. Like if you remember, in my pipeline project, I used one term called agent. Remember? So here I'll be specifying the label of that node. I never use the name of the node. We always use a label to refer the node. So the label should be unique. If you have more than one slave node, let it be like another slave node. Jenkins can connect to that slave node also, right? So this slave node label can be slave 2, like that. You see, this is about the label. And now there is another important thing called launch method. Launch method means how we are going to launch the slave node or connect the slave node. There are various options available. Out of that, we are going to use an option called launch this agent via SSH, because we are going to enable the secure shell connection. So launch this agent via SSH. Once you use this option, you can see it is asking for the host name, credential, and then the host key verification strategy. So if you want to enable the SSH connection, what you need first? The host name. That is a parameter, right? So the host name is nothing but the private IP address of slave node. So go to your console, AWS console, and take the private IP address, because public IP is not a permanent one. So take the private IP address and update it here. So once you enter the IP address, you need to enter the username and credential. For that, it is asking for credentials here. As of now, we haven't created any credential. What you can do means you can click on this add button, click on Jenkins. It will take you to the credential manager. So this is what we call as a credential management in Jenkins. So in this credential manager, we are going to add a credential now to save it in the Jenkins credential store. So what type of credential you want to add? Whether you're going to create a username with password or username with private key. So in our case, we have created a slave node with the key pair. So definitely we have a username and the private key. So you can use that option here. So what is the user ID here? DevOps admin. And the description, it can be anything like slave node 1 credential. Similarly, the user, this should be your ID. And this is your DevOps admin. User name is DevOps admin. ID and description is something user uniquely identify the credential in your credential manager. ID and description can be same. This is ID and there's a short description about this ID, for what purpose you're creating it. And what is the username you're going to use here means DevOps admin. If you want to treat this username as a secret, you can enable checkbox. Why? Because whenever you try to create a credential, it will be in an encrypted form. If you enable checkbox, this username also will get encrypted. It won't be visible to others. If not, you can leave it as it is, but the credential, password or key will be encrypted. So in this credential manager, I'm going to add the username and the private key. So in this private key option, just enable this check radio button here and click on this add. It will open up a multi-line text box here. In this multi-line text box, you can enter the private key. So if you go to your server, go to the .sh folder of the DevOps admin user, and you can find the private key here. Cat ID underscore ECDSA. So this private key you have to copy from the very first character, from this hyphen, from here till the last character. Don't need to give any extra bytes. Just copy the exact number of characters and have it here. So it means from my Jenkins slave node, I'm just sharing the username and the private key to my Jenkins master node. It will be in encrypted form. No other user or even the administrator cannot read this once it is configured. Easy? Any question in creating the credential? So this is just about creating the key pair with username. In the upcoming sessions, I'll show you how to create some username with password with authentication and all. That's also possible. Easy? So any question on this page? On your
No.
credential, I repeat, in this credential manager, choose the username with private key option, and ID and description can be used for your reference, make it unique. And username is the name which you created in this slave node, DevOps admin, and enable this private key and enter the private key whatever you created there and add it. That's all. So now one credential has been added to the credential manager. Now if you use this drop down, you can able to see that credentials available. So this is the username and this is the ID of that credential. Like this, you can able to create the credentials for n number of slave nodes. So where it is actually stored means, like if you can see your Jenkins, you can go to your credential manager here. Yesterday I showed you this option, right? Credentials. See, we have one credential created, DevOps admin for the slave node. Like this, whenever we create any credential, it will be stored in this credential manager. Easy. That's it. And another important parameter is host key verification strategy. So this is something, unique in Jenkins, especially while adding the agent. What is the need for this means the parameters, whatever we supplied here, like host name, username, and the key, it will be verified by Jenkins. To do that verification, it uses the host key verification strategy. So we have various options here. It can be your known host file verification or manually provided verification strategy or manually trusted key verification strategy or no verification. Out of that, we'll be using the third option, that is manually trusted key verification strategy. Why? Because if you use the known host file verification means it's a very traditional approach where the Linux users has to manually create the known host file and maintain the keys into that file. It's a manual approach. And the second option is manually provide the key verification strategy. It means whenever you try to connect to a slave node, you have to manually enter the key. Like the key name, whatever you created here, you have to provide the key. Then only it will be verified. But we made this agent as a permanent agent, and I don't want to enter the credentials each and every time I log in. For that, what I can do means I can use manually trusted key verification strategy, which is recommended. And the last option is non-verifying strategy, which is not recommended because without verifying your key, it will just allow the user to access that slave node, which is not recommended in real-time environment. So the most recommended approach is manually trusted key verification strategy. And from this, you can able to see one small option is enabled, which requires manual verification of initial connection. So what it means here, when I choose manually trusted key verification, Jenkins will expect the user to verify the connection for the very first time. Once it is verified successfully, then after it won't ask for any other validation. So enable this checkbox. That's it. And let this agent be online as much as possible. No need to worry. And the node properties, since it is a Jenkins Maven built to server, already we have passed all the required parameters here. So this is also optional. Now, review this. and let me know if you have any question. So I repeat, from this manage Jenkins, if you go to the nodes, you should be able to find an option called new node. Once you click on new node, it asks for the node name and it will ask for the agent type. It is a permit agent. Once you enter the node name and proceed further, it will take you to this page. So in this page, ensure that you have a valid name, agent name, description, number of executors, remote root directory to identify the path of the target server, I mean the slave node, and label. It is used to uniquely identify the node. And then launch method, it should be launch agent via SSH. Enter the IP address, private IP address of your slave node. Credential, you can create one using username and the key pair. And then choose manually trusted key verification strategy and enable checkbox. Any question? Hope I'm clear, right? Or any disturbance in between?
No, it's
Mm,
clear.
if we are creating more than one slave nodes, remote root directory will be same for all because it is home and DevOps. We will create the same process in slave one also, 2, 3, 4, like that.
Yes, it is always recommended to have the same username in all the slave nodes as well as the same path. So that it will be easy for you to maintain it.
Yes.
Correct. So hope you all can remember, right? All these parameters.
Yep.
All right. So with all these parameters, if you click on save button, see one new node has been attached here, but it is not yet connected to your slave node. If you go click on this node name, see here. Sorry. So here you can see this is our agent and this is a label which we assign to that agent. And this node is being launched. It is not completely launched now. Why? Because as per our strategy, we have used the manually trusted key verification strategy. So it will expect the initial verification from the user. For that, there is an option called trust SSH host key. Can you see this option? So as soon as you create an agent, click on that agent name, go to the agent's dashboard. And for the very first time, you should see this option, trust SSH host key. You have to click on this and manually provide your verification. It will just ask you whether this key what you provided is valid or not. For all your future connection, can I use it or not? Say yes. So once you say yes, in few seconds, it is up and running. See, 2 executors are available now. Got it? It is launched. Clear? So once it is launched, you can see that option is not available. Trusted key verification is over because we already enabled it and it is live now. So if you go to your dashboard from any level, you should be able to see there are 2 nodes available. One is a built-in node, that is your master node, and another thing is your slave node, which we just created. Easy? Any question on this process? Starting from your build tool installation, user creation, and then configuration of your Jenkins node in your Jenkins console. All clear? Guys?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so once this is clear, we can get into the implementation. Okay, so let me show you how to use it in our pipeline. So let's enhance or use the same pipeline, for example. So what we can do here is we are just going to enhance this pipeline with the actual source code repository because I want to run it in my slave node. So how to identify the slave node? We use a label for that. So listen carefully. I'm going to use one label parameter in my project. So agent label is slave node here. Just code this instead of any, change it to label as slave 1. So my requirement is I want to schedule this job to run in slave 1. What I'm going to do, first I'm going to perform SEM checkout. To do the SEM checkout, what I need a source code repository URL. Hope you all have that URL with you. This one you have, right? Spring Boot Maven project.
Yeah, looks like.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Looks like not everyone, all of you fork the repository. Okay, please fork this repository because this is what you're going to use for our future builds. So go to this repository URL and you can use this code option and take the clone URL, copy this URL. All right, and then come to your pipeline project and say git followed by the URL. That's it. So when I say git, I'm not using git clone command directly here. Usually what we do in git CLI, we use git clone command, right? But through Jenkins, if you want to work with git, you're going to use a git plugin actually. So when I say git followed by that URL, it will automatically connect to that repository and download the code to that slave node in the home directory of DevOps and user. Got it? So now let me show you how to generate the script. Just go to your Jenkins dashboard. And here, this is my project. Go to the configuration of the pipeline project. Scroll down here where you are written the code. And in any pipeline project, you can find something called pipeline syntax. Can you see this option? Pipeline syntax option. Go to the pipeline project. From there only you can access this. It is meant for the individual pipeline scripts. So go to the pipeline project configuration and click on this pipeline syntax link. It will take you to a snippet generator page, which helps you to quickly generate the script. So in our case, the very first thing we are going to generate is to SEM checkout. To do that, you can see there are some sample build steps available here. It's all depends on the plugins you use. So what you can do here is from this drop down, you can search for Git. See, Git is available. Click on this. And it is expecting you to enter the URL. So the URL, whatever you have copied from your source code repository, have it here. And in my repository, I have a master branch. So I want the code to be extracted from the master branch. That's not an issue. So I can leave it as default and it doesn't require any credentials. Click on generate script. See, I got a script ready. Like this, for any stage, if you want to generate the script, you can use this snippet generator. That is what the declarative pipeline's advantages. Right. Sometimes what happens, we'll be performing the build from the feature branch. Let's say as a developer, I have a code in my feature branch and I want to automate the build and testing. In the case, I can space the branch name here, like feature 1, something like this. If I mention the branch name and generate the pipeline script, see, it has add one parameter. Now it will get into this repository and access this feature branch, and from that feature branch alone, it picks up the code. If it is a master, it is understandable that it is a default branch. So it is not required to explicitly mention it. Got it? So just copy this and have it in your pipeline stage. Easy? That's what I did here. Any question? First, let's talk about the first stage here, SEM checkout, and then I'll go to other stages one by one. So shall we do SEM checkout now through this pipeline?
Yes.
So let me copy this and take it to your project. So it is going to execute in slave node 1. If you see the project previous project here. My last build was executed in your Jenkins master node. But now I want to run a slave node. So let me save this job, apply the changes, and let's run this project again. Build now. So now the build is scheduled. The third build number 3 is getting triggered. In the meantime, if you go to the console output of the job, you can see this is a console output. Job is still under execution and it is completed now. And it is started by this user and it is running on Jenkins slave node 1. Your previous build number 2 was executed in Jenkins master node under VR lib Jenkins folder. It has created a workspace. But now this project is running in the Jenkins slave node 1. That means in the home directory of DevOps user, you should find a workspace folder. Within that workspace folder, you should be able to see the first stage of your job, that is cloning the repository. It has cloned that entire repository in that path. And then the second stage, it is just a message you are printing, no other actions, right? Now, if you go to your server and su to DevOps admin user, and here, what you can do, you can say, what is it? ls. See, there is a workspace folder created. And if you go to that folder, you can able to find the pipeline project. And if you say ls, you can able to see the entire source code repository is downloaded. Because in my source code repository, I have my src folder, bin folder, and then these 3 components like pom.xml file, everything. You see? Am I clear? So entire repository has been cloned into my slave node. That is SCM checkout. Am I clear with this process?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So can you all able to perform the SCM checkout with your pipeline script? If yes, then we'll move on to the next level. That is application build. So to perform the application build, what I need a Maven tool. And that Maven tool we already installed in our node, right? So what I can do here is I need to execute this command. Like in your previous module where we talked about the Maven build tool, I was giving you some Maven goals, right? In order to work in Maven, we need 2 entities. One is pom.xml file that should be part of your source code repository, and then the Maven goal. We have the pom.xml file available in your repository. Now, to execute or to perform build, I can use this Maven goal. That is Maven clean on package, I can say. Because my intention is I want to compile the code. If there is any unit test cases available, I want to perform unit testing as well. And then I want to create the artifacts. So I need to execute this command in my slave node through Jenkins pipeline. For that, I can go to my job configuration. Where is it? And here again, I can get into this snippet generator. And in that snippet generator, I can, hope I'm audible, right? In the snippet generator, you can use this drop down, the sample step, and search for sh. We are going to run a shell command there, sh, followed by that command, and generate the script. See, I want to run this command in my slave node through Jenkins pipeline project. So go to the snippet generator and search for the sample step.shell script, and then executed. And for your information, in a real-time environment also, we'll be following the same process. We never manually type any script in our pipeline project as like that. Go to snippet generator, generate it, and have it here. That's all. So this line I want to execute now in my pipeline project. Simple. Apply the changes. So before I execute this, let us review the existing folder. Like here, I have SRC folder. If I go to the SRC folder, you can able to see a main and test. It's all you can review from your thing itself. Under SRC, you have main folder, which contains your application components, like your Java programs and your HTML resources, everything. And the test folder contains your unit test case, like using JUnit. It is going to perform one unit test cases. And then we have pom.xml file, which is going to create an artifacts of type war file. And this is the artifact name. Demo 1.1 hyphen snapshot is the name of the artifacts. You see, and to create these artifacts, it will be downloading the Selenium, JUnit, and Java code coverage, as well as the plugins like your Spring Boot Maven plugin and all. Got it? Hope you all able to understand right what we're trying to do. Yes, no?
Yeah.
Okay. So now let's go to our pipeline project. I've already saved these changes. Now let's execute this. Tomorrow you have class, no, right? 26th, Monday, Wednesday, right? Okay, fine. Let's run this job. I just trigger the build now, and it is under execution. If you go to that console output in the meantime, so it will try to identify the source code and perform the Maven build. That is what's going to happen here. It's completed. See, the first stage, it has downloaded the latest code from the source code repository. And as part of the second stage, application build, it is printing this message and executing this Maven clean package command. So as part of this command, it will get into that source code repository and access the pom.xml file. And what are all the dependencies and the plugins you mentioned in the pom.xml file, it will download everything to that slave node. And it is a one-time installation. Then after, it will just use as the same. See, we have entered a lot of dependencies. It just downloads everything. And then finally, based upon the Maven goal, it will just perform the build. So now you can see the build is successful. The artifacts has been created in this project workspace under a target folder. So it means if you go to your server and if you say ls in the project level, now you can see there is a target folder created automatically. In your actual source code repository, there is no target folder because target folder is going to hold the artifacts, the war file. We will never keep that as part of source code repository. But when you perform the application build, it creates one target folder. And if you navigate to the target folder, you can see the war file is generated now. So this is the executable code of your project. Easy?
Yes.
Am I clear? So how we are improvising the process. Initially, I started with a simple pipeline for flow. Now for each and every stage, we are giving the actual definition. So now as part of this pipeline, our war file is created and it is currently present in the slave node under the DevOps admin workspace directory. Next, we have to deploy to the target server. The artifacts has to be promoted to target server for further testing. It can be a QA server, whatever it is. Right? So any doubts till now? I mean, till this. Any doubts?
No, Loksai.
So that Linux knowledge or the things, whatever you learned and practice, it's helpful now, right? To quickly understand this process.
Yeah.
So that is how you should relate, okay? Like that is what the incremental process in our training, right? So compared to day one, today you're learning something new, but still how your confidence level is. When you started learning your Linux module, you are finding everything strange and new. But today, with that knowledge, when you approach these modules, you can able to easily relate and understand things quickly, right? Can you
Yep.
able to see that progress within you?
Yes.
Yeah, yes.
Yes.
That is what
Yeah.
the expectation actually. Okay, so just keep this momentum with the same approach. We'll be implementing in all the upcoming modules also. Got it? So if you want, you can have a quick break and come back. A quick 5 minutes break. I think most of you are getting so silent, not sure. So just go have a quick break and come back. I'll show you how to work on the last stage to deploy to the target server.
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah. Tripti, what's the question?
Yesterday we were talking about that plugins installation for the Git and Maven, right? And while performing the SM checkout and application build here, we directly use the snippet scripts here. So it's both are same or it is like different?
Snippet generator is something used to generate your script for your pipeline projects,
Okay,
right?
that means the whatever the plugins yesterday we are learned to like
Yeah.
install and all that is not performing here. The like
Based upon that plugin only, the snippet is generating actually. Correct. If you can see here in this snippet generator, where is it? Yeah. If you use this drop down, right,
mhm,
you can see some list of items here, right? So all these things are based upon the plugins you install. Like we have installed Docker, right? So
mhm.
like this, these many plugins are installed in a machine, and only if you install, you can able to find it here. Snippet generator can able to generate a script based on the plugin only.
Okay, got it. Thanks.
All right. So all good with this, guys. If you're clear with this,
Yes.
next we'll see how to deploy the artifacts to target server. So deploying means, what is the deployment basically? When you say deployment, what is deployment? What is the deployment?
Implement
It,
we have to
Deploying,
move the
it is
copying
just
the
a process.
artifacts
It's just a process of copying the artifacts, right?
to the target machine. Yeah.
Yeah, consider I have a environment like dev environment, build environment, QA environment, UAT or production environment. So this slave node is considered as a build environment now. Why? Because I perform the build and the artifact is created in that server. So from this build server, I want to deploy, I want to copy that artifact to the target server. It can be any server to run my artifacts. So the target server, it is also called as a deployment server, or it can be considered as the hosted server, because we are going to host some application there. So in order to run your application artifacts, we need a web application server like Tomcat or Nginx, or we have Apache. Like this, we have some web application servers. So using this web application server, this is used to execute or run the web application artifacts. Correct. So let's say you have created a war file, right? War file is created here in this machine. So how can you run this war file? Which tool is used to run that war file? Means it is nothing but your web application server like Tomcat. So most of the Java based application uses Tomcat to execute or run the application. Why? Because if I deploy my application artifacts in the target server, assume that this is something belongs to QA testing. I want to perform the QA testing. So I need these artifacts. Once you copy the artifact from the slave node to this QA server, if the QA testing team, if they want to run this artifacts, they need this Tomcat web application server. So now you need to understand how to configure the Tomcat web application server. In short, we call it as a WS. Okay. So to do this, we need to install Tomcat. So what I'm going to do here means I'm going to enhance my Jenkins architecture now. In our previous case, we were using our Jenkins master node and the slave node for build. And now I am going to add one more server in this architecture, that is my Tomcat server. This Tomcat server is a standalone server. Okay, it is not part of my Jenkins master or slave node. It is not considered as an agent to Jenkins master. It can be any independent server we can have. Hope I'm audible to all.
Yes, you are.
Now, what we are going to have in this Tomcat server means we are going to install Tomcat web application server, and to run this Tomcat web application server we need JDK. JDK is a prerequisite for Tomcat. So these are the tools that is required to be available in this VM. Easy. Am I clear with this?
Yes.
Yeah, yes. So we need to create another VM for this Tomcat, yes?
Yes, we have to launch one more VM and install these tools. Now, once the server is ready, you have to attach this server to Jenkins master. Why? Because the artifacts, whatever we have created, it is available in your slave node, correct? So how can you copy the war file from the slave node into this Tomcat server? Means that is done through Jenkins master node. So now master node is going to be a controller machine, or it can be a intermediate server between your slave and Tomcat. You cannot directly interact with Jenkins slave node. It is not possible. In Jenkins architecture, any remote server can able to communicate between each other through Jenkins master only. So we have to install these tools in Tomcat server, and as like how we have prepared this user ID and key pair, we have to prepare one in this server also. This will be shared with the Jenkins master node for further communication. And another important thing, we have to install publish over SSH plugins in Jenkins master node. The purpose of this plugin is to establish secure connection to the Jenkins, remote server, and copy the artifacts to the remote servers through Jenkins master. Correct. So it will help you to establish a secure connection and copy the artifacts to the remote server through Jenkins master node. So this plugin should be installed. So if you can see my Jenkins master node, if I go to this plugins management, yeah, it's loading now. So I'm on this page here. I can go to Jenkins management console. And here, go to plugins management. Go to this plugins management, plugins. I hope yesterday we did right.
Yes, we did it.
Yes.
So go to this plugins manager and search for the plugin like publish OSS plugin, whether it is already available or not. Search for it first. It won't be available as a default package. Can you able to experience the difference in while accessing my server? It is taking some time to load, right? Have you
Yeah.
noticed?
Yes.
Yes.
Yesterday it was quick. Today it is experiencing some delay. You know the reason?
We created the projects there, like jobs and all. Maybe that's the reason. It's like taking the resources on the server.
Because we are using a T2 micro, right?
Yeah.
Which comes with 1 GB RAM and 1 CPU, right? So in 1 GB RAM, how much you can process, right? Even your mobile itself having at least 8 GB RAM, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So that is the reason. Okay. So if there is any delay in processing, maybe for Jenkins, it's okay. But tomorrow while working on any Kubernetes and all right, you can able to increase it to T2 medium. Though it is a paid service, just utilize it for learning purpose. So now let's go to this plugins management page. And here you can search for it under installed plugins. You can search for it. If it is not available, go to your available plugins tab. See here, I'm on this install plugins page. Just search for publish over SSH. It's not available. It's not installed already, correct? There's nothing related to that plugin. So now if I go to this available plugins tab, I can able to see that plugin. See, it is available for installation. So what is the purpose of this? It sends build artifacts over SSH. Correct. So all that you can do here is go to plugins manager under available plugins tab, search for and install it. And another important thing is enable restart upon installation. Correct. So it means this plugin needs Jenkins server restart. So go to this and select the plugin and click on install. While it is installing, in the downloads progress, you can able to find one option to restart Jenkins.
Yeah, I think that comes in that box to
Yeah,
tick that.
just enable this checkbox. While it is downloading and installing this plugin, enable this checkbox. See, Jenkins started to restart. I mean, install and it gets restarted. And it will automatically take me to the login page once it is ready. Correct? So while it is installing, okay, let's talk about this download process, or sorry, deployment process. So when we talk about deployment, don't worry, I'm not going to install in Tomcat today, okay? I know it will be too much for you people to practice. So I'll be showing you how to set up the Tomcat server in next session. That means the third stage of your pipeline will be completing by next session. But before that, we need to prepare our process, right? So to have my Tomcat server integrated and enabled with my application deployment, I need this plugin. So I'm just installing it. So it is installed. Correct. So now if I go to this page, I should be able to access it. I can able to see the plugin should be available in my installed plugins list. All right. Now, what is the deployment? It is just a process of copying the artifacts from
Slave nodes.
sorry, come again.
Slave nodes.
Okay, slave node, from slave node to target node. That's what deployment, right? So here, what is here when you talk about deployment, you need to be clear with your source server and the target server. So what is the source server now? From where you going to pick up these artifacts?
Slaves node.
It's your Jenkins slave node. And what is the target server now? It is your Tomcat server, which we are going to create. And now in the slave node, you have to identify the source path. Similarly, in the target node, you have to identify the target path because the artifacts is just a file. So in which path you have the file in your source machine?
DOS admin.
Yes, so it is present in the home directory of your DevOps admin user. That means under this workspace folder, you can able to see there's a target folder. So my war file is present in the target folder. I can simply say like /*war file. Whatever the war file I have, it is available in my target folder. So this file should be taken from your source directory and it should be copied to the target directory in your Tomcat server. So in your Tomcat server, where you install Tomcat, let's say I have installed in OPT Tomcat, for example. In that folder, you can able to find one directory called web apps. And there you have to place it. So this is your target path. It's a very, very important equation. When you try to copy the artifacts into your Tomcat web application server, in which path you can keep your artifact, because I cannot keep it in any path. Let's say if I keep this artifacts in the home directory of any other user directory or anywhere, right? Tomcat cannot recognize that war file. If you want to run Tomcat to execute or identify a war file, it should be placed in this directory. So upon deployment, you should be able to see something like this. War file, whatever you created, it will be copied to this direct path directly. Even you're not supposed to have this subfolder target and all. Target is something meant for your slave node, but this target folder should not be present here. The web apps should directly hold the war file. That is how the deployment happens.
So how we can copy with the SCP command with that SSH?
That is what we use a plugin, right? What I said about this plugin, it is used to establish secure connection and copy the artifacts to the remote server through Jenkins master. So my artifact is present in your source server, that is slave node. From slave node, I can copy this to Tomcat server using this plugin. SCPNL is just a basic Linux command, okay? It's a manual process. If you're using Jenkins, you can use this plugin. It'll be having more benefits when compared to SCP. Easy?
So when we will have these plugins in master node, then it will act as an intermediate between these two.
Plugin is just a feature of Jenkins. That's all, right? Let's say we have created a pipeline project, right? And in the pipeline project, we have created various stages. So in each and every stage, we have executed some plugins actually. Don't think it is a command. We are just executing a plugin called git plugin to check out. We are executing a shell plugin to execute the shell command. Like that, we are going to execute a publish ORS plugin to copy the artifacts from the slave node to the target server. Correct? So at any point of time, your Jenkins master will be the interface between your slave and Tomcat. Easy?
Yes.
Observe this term, okay? I'm saying like it can be done through Jenkins master. So Jenkins master is going to be an interface now, right? Am I clear?
Yes, you are.
All right. So if you're clear with this, let's see if we have the plugin installed. Under the install plugins tab, if you say publish, okay, publish OS, see it is available now. It is installed here. And also you can able to use it in your snippet generator. Tomorrow I'll show you, I mean in the next session I'll show you how to use this plugins in the snippet generator and generate our pipeline script. Easy. So to do that, first we have to launch one target server, that is a VM. And in that VM, we have to install all the packages and then we have to create the user profile. And as like how you shared the private key of your slave node to Jenkins master, you have to share the private key of a Tomcat server to Jenkins master. And through publish OS plugin, you can integrate these two servers. Once it is integrated with the same plugin, you can able to copy the artifacts. Easy. It's all available here. Okay, all the manuals, whatever I was talking about, like Tomcat server installation steps. Like if you can see here, till now we are covered with the, where is it? This document. So we have configured a slave node. And next I'll show you how to configure the Tomcat server. These are steps. We are going to launch a node and install Tomcat. And to install Tomcat, you can directly use a command. I mean, use this link to understand the Tomcat versions and all this official page. And then we need JDK to install Tomcat. So first let's install JDK. It can be the default version. And once JDK is available, then only you can install Tomcat. Got it? So this we'll discuss in the next session. So in our next session, we'll configure Tomcat server and create CI/CD pipeline. So now with this Tomcat server, I can able to complete this pipeline stages. Our CI/CD process, continuous integration, continuous delivery deployment will be completed. And then we have two more topics like build triggers. That is to automate your build. And then we have something called email notifications. Because as part of my CSD pipeline, I have to enable the notification, email notifications, so that my stakeholders or someone can understand the status of the job, right? So how to set up the email notifications in your CSD pipeline, that is the next topic. So we'll be discussing this in tomorrow's session, or in next 2 days, we'll be covering it up. So any question you have, please let me know now. Be updating your class notes along with all the steps, whatever we have covered.
For any VM, we need to, by default, port 8080. This Tomcat will also will run in port 8080.
Yes, it runs in port 8080. As like with Jenkins, you have to enable the inbound rule.
In Jenkins, I don't have any questions so far. I need to just practice whatever you have taught us today. I was just practicing Git yesterday, and on that I have a question. Means I have a doubt.
Okay.
Let's say I have a repository one with the name repository one, repo one, and under that I have two files, file one and file two. Correct?
Yeah, you can have.
Yeah. Still, I am asking. See, under
Yeah.
repo one, I have two files, file one and file two. So the git init command to initialize a repository,
Yeah.
uh, I need to mention git init command when I'm on the repo one directory, right? Repo one
Yeah.
path,
Yeah, that's right.
and then I need to mention git add file, whatever file I want to add, commit
Yes.
and push.
Yes. Yes. Simple.
Okay, okay, thank you.
Yep. So here we have a document updated with the slave node configuration with the installation of build tools and the what do you call that? User profile creation, and you can execute only the executable lines. Okay, the line which is prefixed with hash, it's all just for your reference. Okay, for documentation purpose. So execute the statements that are commands that are defined here. Don't execute anything that is prefixed with hash. Commit
Sure.
this. That's all. All right. So now the document is also ready. So you have 2 more days time. Tomorrow, attend your doubt clarification. I mean, what do you call that? Mentoring session, and make use of it. But before you join the next session, that is on Thursday, right? 27th. Before you join, I expect every one of you to go through the class notes, whatever we covered in Jenkins module, right? Starting from day one of our Jenkins. I am expecting you to go through this once so that, it'll be easy for you to understand the next topics. Otherwise, again, it'll be puzzled. Correct. So please review it once, understand it properly. And if time permits, you can practice all those things at least once or twice and make yourself comfortable with the core concepts. Easy?
Yes, sure.
All right. So, yes, any question, please let me know. All good?
Yeah.
All right. So if you don't have any question, then close this call. We'll connect on Thursday. Thank you all. Thanks for your time.